It was a rainy Saturday afternoon when everything changed for Alex. He decided to visit his grandpa's old house, a place full of memories from his childhood, where he'd spend summers messing around in the garage, listening to his grandpa's stories about science and the crazy experiments he used to do. Alex hadn't been able to go through his grandpa's stuff until now. Walking through the house felt like stepping back in time. It smelled just the way he remembered, like old books and a hint of his grandpa's pipe. As he wandered from room to room, he couldn't help but get lost in the memories. But then, something caught his eye. In the study, where his grandpa spent most of his time, Alex noticed a big, dusty trunk tucked away in the corner. His heart started beating faster as he walked over and lifted the lid. Inside were piles of notebooks, some old blueprints, and an old leather journal. As Alex opened the journal, he realized it looked familiar, just like the one he and Emma had found not too long ago. He started reading, and what he saw blew his mind. The pages were filled with sketches and notes about a machine, a time machine. His grandpa had been working on it for who knows how long. Then, something slipped out of the journal, a folded piece of paper. It was a letter, addressed to him. "Dear Alex," it began. "If you're reading this, it means you've found my life's work. The machine you're reading about is real, and it works. I couldn't test it fully, but I believe in what it can do. You've always been curious and smart, so I trust you to continue my work. But be careful, my boy. Time is powerful, and it needs to be respected. Love, Grandpa." Alex sat there stunned. His grandpa had really built a time machine, and now it was up to him to figure it all out. But he knew he couldn't do it alone, so he called Emma that evening. She was just as excited as he was, and the next day she joined him at the house. Together they went through the journals and blueprints piece by piece, trying to make sense of it all. In the garage, they finally found it, hidden behind some old furniture. With shaky hands, they pulled off the cover, and there it was, the time machine. It was real, right there in front of them, a crazy mix of wires, dials, and a little cockpit. It looked like something out of a sci-fi movie, but this was no movie. It was real. For the next few days, they carefully tested the machine, following the notes in the journal. Each small success filled them with excitement and a bit of fear. They were on the edge of something huge, but they knew the risks were real too. And then, finally, the big day came. Alex would be the first to use the time machine. Emma was nervous, but Alex tried to keep her calm. He felt like everything in his life had been leading to this moment. He climbed into the cockpit, took a deep breath, and set the machine for a small jump, just 1 hour into the future. When Alex opened his eyes, everything looked almost the same, but he knew something was different. He checked his watch. It had worked. He had travelled 1 hour into the future. He rushed back to Emma, who was waiting anxiously. As soon as she saw him, her face lit up with joy. "You did it, Alex. It worked." Alex nodded, still trying to wrap his head around it all. "Yeah, it did. But this is just the start. We've got so much more to figure out." They stood there, in that old garage, surrounded by his grandpa's work, knowing their lives were about to change in ways they couldn't even begin to imagine. The time machine was real, and with it, they had the power to explore the past, the future, and everything in between. As Alex and Emma stood in the garage, still buzzing with excitement from their discovery, the time machine suddenly whirred back to life on its own. The dial spun uncontrollably, and a cold wind swept through the room. Alex's heart pounded as the machine emitted a strange, ominous glow. "Alex, what's happening?" Emma's voice trembled. Before he could respond, the machine's light intensified, casting eerie shadows on the walls. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the machine fell silent, leaving only the echo of its hum in the air. They exchanged a fearful glance. Something had changed, something beyond their control. What had they unleashed? And more importantly, could they stop it? Find out in Chapter 3.